Good evening and welcome to another edition of Ten-Tec TV. I'm Scott Robbins, W4PA Amateur Radio Product Manager for Ten-Tec Incorporated. And tonight we will look at the Centurion linear amplifier, how to hook it up and tune it up. One of the things that we have noticed in amateur radio over the last decade or so is that there seems to be a little bit of voodoo and misinformation about the difficulty of tuning up a tube linear amplifier. And I'm going to show you tonight just how easy it is to hook up and tune up the Centurion. It's a pretty easy piece of equipment to use. First, a little bit about the Centurion. It's a dual 3500Z amplifier. It uses a pair of them in a grounded grid configuration. It is rated at 1300 watts out for 100 watts of drive power. Though you will find on the low bands it's probably a little bit higher than that, more like 14 or 1500 watts on 80, 40, and 20 meters. This is an amplifier that we started manufacturing in 1989. It's now 2009, so this is its 20th year of production. It is certainly a very good, reliable piece of gear, and we have been building it for a very long time. To hook this amplifier up, it is interfaceable with basically any HF transceiver. There are 3 jacks on the back for connection of the amplifier to an HF rig. One of the jacks is your standard PTT output. 2 of the jacks are a pair of jacks used for hooking up the amplifier in QSK mode. The amplifier is capable of full break and CW operation. Modern Ten-Tec transceivers from the Omni 5, Omni 6 on to the present have a pair of QSK output jacks on the back. Additionally, Yaesu HF transceivers also have a QSK keying loop and are interfaceable that way as well. Of course, if you don't have a QSK rig or are not interested in hooking it up that way, you can merely hook it up to the PTT jack on your rig. Now, I've got here a cable. This is a standard RCA phono cable, and all you need to hook up your amplifier to your rig is one of these connectors. You can use, for example, each of the red ends, plug one end to the amplifier output jack on your transceiver, and the other end into the PTT jack on the back of the Centurion. All you need besides that is coax cable, PL259s on each end, one end into the antenna output connector on your HF rig, and the other into the input of the amplifier. And there's an SO239 output connector for connecting antennas as well on the back. Okay, so we're going to put the camera over here to the Centurion, and we will show you how easy it is to tune this up. What I'm going to do to start is, you see we've got this on the 20 meter band. I'm going to just turn these knobs to something random, and then we'll start transmitting. I've got this hooked up to the Orion 2 transceiver, and I've got a CW paddle hooked up. Let's see, turn this up a little. You can hear the CW. Okay, now many people tune up a linear amplifier by just keying the thing down like this. You press the tune button, you have, on a Ten-Tec rig, 20 watts output power. I prefer to use a CW paddle. The duty cycle is a little bit less, certainly, than just keying it down. You can actually, if you need a little extra time to be able to tune the thing up, run a CW paddle for a longer period of time than I would be comfortable with running the thing key down. So, for example, we're going to start here, and I'm going to hit the CW paddle. I've got the rig set at about 20 watts out right now. And you can see we're not seeing much of anything there. Oh, wait, I can put it on operate. That's why. You can see here on the meters, we've got a little bit of plate current. We have a little bit of grid current. We're not even up to the 100 watt mark on the peak power output meter over here. I will, before I even start tuning the amplifier, let's see, try to see if I can find a spot where it might be resonant. Start turning the tune and load controls. Okay, now see, as I got to the tune knob down to 1, you can see we've got a little bit of output power now here on the peak output power meter. Now a little bit more, and a little bit more. Okay, it's looking like somewhat above 500 watts here at the moment. Okay, now what I'm going to do is turn up the power output on the transceiver. We're now up at 50 watts. And you can see the output power has increased on the amplifier to about 1,000 watts. We'll now go to 75 watts, and even a little bit higher. And now to the full 100 watts. And you can see we are peaking at about 1,500 watts out. You can see that red indicator right there. Okay, now, what we want to be sure of is that we've tuned this thing optimally and that we don't have too much grid current. So I'm going to hit this thing key down, and I'm going to adjust the load control downward to adjust the grid current down without affecting the power output. Watch this. Hit tune, Okay, there's 100 watts out. Now, as I back the tune control down, you can see that the grid current is dropping, but the power output only drops a little bit. What we want to do is keep the power output fairly high, but keep the grid current down to keep the tubes nice and happy. Now, you can see this red area here on this shows grid current about 280 mils max. We are running this at about 200 milliamps, so well within the capabilities of the pair of tubes to operate safely. There you go. It's as easy as that. This is not a particularly complicated piece of equipment to tune up. As you just saw, it took me just really a matter of seconds to be able to turn the tune and load knobs. It's fairly forgiving. It's not a very sharp peak for the tune and load knobs. You've got a little bit of range in there to adjust the knobs back and forth to get power output. The other thing you should know about 3500Z amplifiers in general is that the 3500Z tube is very hard to kill. This is a tube that is very, very hard to accidentally destruct. Unlike some of the ceramic tubes, which are very sensitive to grid current, these tubes do not suffer from that. They're also inexpensive and easy to replace. In typical amateur service, an amplifier like this, you should be able to use the tubes for about 15 to 20 years before they need replacement. If you've got any questions about the Centurion or any of other Ten-Tec products, please feel free to visit our website at www.tentec.com. Give us a call at 800-833-7373. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have about this piece of equipment or anything else that Ten-Tec does. Till next time on Ten-Tec TV, I'm Scott Robbins, W4PA Amateur Radio Product Manager, 73, and good night.